For Lo, life is a cycle of appeasement, constantly being pushed around by his fiery friend Yuna, who scolds him for being a convenient tool for the villagers. She knows he's kind, but his inability to say no is a weakness she can't stand. One day, her frustration gives way to excitement as she whispers a secret plan to go outside the village. Her idea is immediately shot down by her grandma, who furiously reminds them of the village rules and strikes Yuna for her insolence. As Yuna is dragged away, she screams in frustration at the suffocating rules of their home. Lo, ever the people-pleaser, agrees to help a villager draw water, his compliance unwavering. He reflects on his past. After his parents died, the villagers took him in, treating him like family so he wouldn't be alone. His desire to repay their kindness fuels his love for the village and everyone in it. Later, Yuna sneaks out again, beckoning Lo to follow. She proudly states that escaping has become easy for her now, despite his hesitation about her grandma's wrath. He follows her into the forest, intrigued by her promise to show him something special. She leads him through the woods to a clearing, revealing a breathtaking vista of the outside world, a sprawling landscape far wider than he ever imagined. Lo is left speechless by the incredible sight. Yuna then pulls out a book she got from a merchant, explaining the rules of the outside world. It's governed by a system called ranking, where everything from adventurers to wealth is competitively measured by rankers. Yuna's eyes burn with ambition as she declares her dream, to become a ranked adventurer, travel the world, and become someone cool and respected. She asks Lo to come with her to go on an adventure together, believing he would shine even brighter outside their small village. They could explore the world side by side. But Lo gently refuses, admitting he loves the village too much to ever leave it. Yuna explodes in anger, calling him a stubborn idiot before storming off, telling him to stay stuck in the village forever. As he watches her go, the thought of Yuna actually leaving had never crossed his mind. As dusk settles, he decides to head back, but a strange sight in the sky stops him cold. A colossal inverted island hangs in the sky, a terrifying and beautiful spectacle. Suddenly, a pillar of light erupts from it, consuming everything where his village once stood. He turns back to find nothing but a massive, empty crater. Disbelief turns to raw panic as he screams for Yuna, his grandma, for anyone. Memories of their kindness, of them becoming his family, flood his mind. And he collapses in utter despair, his world shattered in an instant. As he kneels in the dust, a mysterious man approaches, asking if he's a survivor from Tori village. The man tells him the island is gone now and that he should forget what happened. Lo, desperate for answers, grabs the man and demands to know what happened to the people. The man shoves him back, roaring that the entire village just vanished and that a child has no place in this world. He gives Lo a note with an address, telling him to forget the past and just survive. But Lo refuses. A burning resolve ignites within him, and he vows to go to that island and bring everyone back, no matter what, as a powerful green aura explodes from his body. The man is stunned by the immense prana erupting from a mere boy. Realizing this is the survivor of Babel, he throws a sword at Lo's feet, offering to train him if he shows potential, but only if he comes at him with the intent to kill. Fueled by grief and rage, Lo charges, their blades clashing in a shower of sparks. The man, though easily parrying, is shocked by the sheer pressure and the extraordinary waves of prana from a complete beginner. After the clash, he explains the phenomenon, the island of the gods, a floating landmass that appears randomly, erasing land and people. The only way to reach it, he reveals, is to rank in the top 10 of the adventurer ranking. A near impossible feat, as the island is ranked the #1 danger zone and almost no one returns alive. Lo's determination doesn't waver for a second. The man introduces himself as Adal, humanity's strongest knight and #1 in the knight ranking, and takes Lo as his student, vowing to show no mercy as Lo was the first person to ever cut him in a single strike. What followed was a year of hell. Lo's body was broken and remade countless times, his bones crushed and muscles torn as he fought monstrous beasts. Through the agony, he clung to one belief: the villagers were still alive. He would find the truth and climb the adventurer ranking, no matter the cost. 1 year later, Lo stands with Adal, his demeanor completely changed. He is ready, his eyes cold and filled with purpose. Now 17 years old, the disciple of humanity's strongest knight, his adventure to the island of the gods is about to begin. At the adventurer registration exam, the practical test involves gathering valuable items in a forest. A smug mercenary named Owl is the first to finish, casually presenting a 120-point wriggle ore and declaring he's already passed. An archer, Eddie boasts about his rare bird feather, sparking a rivalry with Owl, who mocks his bravado. Their argument is cut short as Lo emerges from the forest, dragging the enormous corpse of a red grizzly. He calmly asks if he can submit the whole thing, as he wasn't sure how to extract the gallbladder, instantly earning 300 points and leaving everyone speechless. An examiner notes that despite his disastrous written test, he somehow knew the creature's value. A witness stammers that he saw the fight. Lo drew his sword, and in a single blinding flash of green light, the monster was sliced down. Later, in an underground facility, the final test is announced: mock battles against each other. The proctor warns them that the greatest threat to an adventurer is often other humans. A brutish man challenges Owl, who effortlessly drops him with a single jab to the throat. Owl then requests to set the matchups for the final match, pairing himself and the archer Eddie against Lo in a 2-on-1 battle. An examiner, Luke, watches Lo, a slight smile on her face as she thinks to herself that if her eyes don't deceive her, that man is an absolute monster. Lo stands ready, his gaze sharp and his hand on his sword, prepared to prove her right. In a vast coliseum, a seemingly impossible matchup is about to begin: two celebrated warriors against one unknown. The opponents are Owl Darkies, the ruthless leader of the Red Wolf mercenary group known for single-handedly taking down a mafia organization, and Eddie Markman, a prodigy from a prestigious family of archers. Facing them is a single, unknown young man, his expression unreadable as he draws his sword. The match begins in a flash, with Eddie immediately loosing an arrow, but the mysterious swordsman twists his body, letting it whistle past him. He then meets the charge of Owl Darkies, their blades clashing in a shower of blinding sparks. Their movements are so fast that the spectators can only hear the ringing of steel, unable to follow the blur of motion. With cold precision, the unknown warrior deflects Owl's frenzied attacks, while simultaneously batting away arrows shot from a distance, leaving the crowd utterly speechless at his impossible skill. He stands before his two opponents, a silent, deadly enigma. Owl states he is ranked 753rd as a mercenary, while Eddie reveals he is 402nd in archery. Hearing this, a small smile plays on the swordsman's lips as he realizes that defeating them will finally get him a 3-digit rank. A colossal wave of green prana erupts from his body, flooding the arena and stunning everyone with its sheer, visible power. Eddie scoffs, revealing that while his archery ranking is mediocre, his sniper ranking for precision is 78, and he fires a shot meant to end it all. But in the blink of an eye, his target vanishes, only to reappear behind him, striking him down before he can even register what happened. With the archer dispatched, the swordsman turns his burning gaze to Owl Darkies, a predator ready for the final kill. But Owl, seeing the abyss in his opponent's eyes, raises his hands and promptly surrenders, explaining he has a job to get to and can't afford to be beaten unconscious. The victor, Lo Tuli, sheathes his blade as the crowd murmurs in disbelief. They had just witnessed a monster dismantle two high rankers. As the announcer declares number 53 the winner, a young appraiser named Luke sprints from the stands, rushing to a private database room. Luke frantically searches for examinee number 53, finding the name Lo Tuli, a 17-year-old with no prior ranking, and realizes with a jolt of excitement that this is a hidden gem, a jackpot talent. Luke bursts out to make an offer, only to find a swarm of other appraisers have already cornered Lo, creating a bidding war. Completely lost, Lo asks what an exclusive appraiser even is. Luke shoves through the crowd to explain that they are dedicated appraisers who can update rankings instantly anywhere in the world, a vital asset for any adventurer. And they come with a special device called a ranktel for the latest information. Intrigued, Lo agrees to consider it, but on one condition. He looks over the crowd of professionals and asks if any of them can get him into the adventurer rankings top 10. Later, Luke confronts Lo, declaring a personal mission to reach a certain island and save everyone, a goal they'd risk their life for. Lo, with a shadow in his eyes, admits he too has something he must do. A pact is formed. Luke Meldia will guide Lo Tuli to the top, and they seal it with a handshake. Luke brings Lo to a rented room that will serve as their base. Slightly annoyed that Lo has insisted on a 1-week probation period for their partnership, but vowing to prove their worth. Soon after, the results of Lo's test arrive, placing him at 2,728th in the adventurer ranking. Lo is visibly disappointed, having expected a 3-digit rank after his victory. Luke explains that the adventurer ranking is the most competitive, but his other stats, like his 58th place in sword speed, are incredible. When Luke suggests joining other rankings to get work, Lo bluntly states he's not looking for a job. Luke astutely pieces it together, realizing Lo's goal is to reach the top 10 as fast as possible to gain access to the Island of the Gods. Lo agrees to explain why after the probation period ends. Curious about his skill, Luke asks where he learned to fight, and Lo casually mentions he was the disciple of a knight named Adal. Luke explodes in shock, revealing Adal is the #1 ranked knight, a legend famous for rejecting every single person who's ever asked to be his student. Lo adds that he beat Adal in a sword fight, a claim Luke dismisses as an impossible lie. Checking the database again, Luke notices the name Thule is unregistered, suspecting it's an alias. A flashback reveals Adal instructing Lo to use that name, calling it a high-risk path to his goal. Back in the present, Lo looks down and quietly states that Thule is the name of his precious family. As they decide to rest, Luke removes their hat, letting long blue hair cascade down, and Lo is momentarily stunned, finally realizing his new partner is a woman. Luke is utterly mortified that he hadn't noticed until now. The next day over breakfast, Luke explains Lo needs to complete requests to gain achievements and raise his adventurer rank. Lo immediately points to the highest difficulty quest available. Luke panics, insisting it's suicide for a beginner. But Lo remains firm, stating he can't back down if he ever hopes to conquer the Isle of Gods. Their argument is interrupted by a well-dressed man named Laud, whom Luke introduces as Laud Broward, the 11th ranked adventurer, a true monster just one step away from the top 10. Seeing an opportunity, Luke begs Laud to beat some sense into the stubborn rookie. In the arena once more, Laud borrows a spear, ready for their duel. He praises Luke's passion as an appraiser, which is why he agreed to the request to teach a beginner his place. Lo feels an overwhelming pressure from Laud. The man is radiating power, and Lo knows a single mistake will be fatal. Luke hopes this encounter teaches Lo about the vastness of the world. But Lo simply smirks, his own green prana flaring to life as he declares he already knows. The fight begins, their weapons clashing with immense force. Laud is taken aback by Lo's technique, recognizing the legendary sword Saint's style, a secret art passed down to only one successor per generation. As they exchange blows at blinding speed, Laud notices the unique shimmer of Lo's prana, something innate to a specific tribe, and demands to know where he's from. Unwilling to wait for an answer, Laud decides to force it out of him, planting his spear into the ground as golden energy erupts around him. He unleashes the arts of the Broward tribe, spear arts, Zen, warning Lo that if he doesn't use his own arts in response, he will surely die. An old master tells Lo that once he gets used to the flow of power, he'll be able to use techniques, demonstrating a simple yet powerful slash with a crimson blade. In a flash, Lo internalizes the lesson, his own blade erupting in a storm of brilliant green energy as he unleashes a gale slash. The attack is blindingly fast, a supersonic wave of energy that hurtles towards his opponent in the arena. But his adversary, a bespectacled man with a spear, is anything but slow, effortlessly erecting a defensive wall of golden light just in time to block the attack. Lo grits his teeth, his sword clashing against the impenetrable barrier as he is thrown back by the sheer force. His opponent, Laud Broward, calmly remarks on Lo's impressive speed but declares the wall between them is still too high. With a simple gesture, Laud summons a prison of golden swords that erupt from the ground, pinning Lo down. The swords converge in a blinding explosion of light, overwhelming him completely. Sprawled in a crater, defeated and surrounded by the lingering golden weapons, Lo can only stare at the sky as Laud is declared the winner. The 11th ranked adventurer asks his companion if she's satisfied, and she thanks him for his help. The woman, Ponia, admits she was convinced until the very end that Lo would win, but the old master clarifies that he only thought it was a possibility. He explains that it's because Lo is Adal's disciple, a fact that surprises Laud. Laud now understands, having recognized Lo's high-speed slash as a sword saint technique, a prestigious style passed down through generations of the strongest knights. From a knight's perspective, seeing an adventurer use their sacred style is akin to theft, and they may have to keep Lo away from other knights to prevent a fatal encounter. Lo, listening from the ground, knows there's something he absolutely has to do, even if it seems impossible. Ponia then reveals her true reason for believing in Lo. She'd heard he landed a clean hit on Laud's son, a claim that makes Laud scoff. Yet, as he thinks about it, he admits Lo doesn't seem like the type to lie and realizes there must be an explanation. The boy's sword technique was shocking, but the shimmering prana around him was even more so, leading Law to a terrifying conclusion. If Lo had used his own unique technique, he, an elite adventurer, might have actually lost the fight. Sometime later, with his wounds bandaged, Lo agrees to take a commission from Ponia. She briefs him on the mission in the Azaban forest, warning him that his adventurer ranking will fall if he harms the protected ecosystem. With the commission accepted, Ponia declares this is his first step to climbing the ranks, and he quietly agrees. Meanwhile, in the depths of that same forest, a smuggler named Rosso Brule brags about killing another adventurer, planning to sell a captured unicorn to skyrocket his own rank. In another part of the woods, Lo faces off against a hulking ogre. But his attempt at technique fails miserably as the beast smashes the ground where he just stood. Ponia screams in terror, asking what he's doing and reminding him he's supposed to be her protector. Lo calmly replies that this reckless style of fighting became a habit during his training with Ado, before effortlessly scooping her up and leaping to safety in the trees. They arrive in a serene clearing, the survey target area. Ponia explains this place was a danger zone where a massive monster outbreak occurred, and their job is to survey the unexplored 20%. Looking around at the strange and beautiful plants and animals, Lo is mesmerized. This is it, an adventure, the very thing his dear friend Yuna always longed for. His resolve hardens as he remembers her dream. Suddenly, a rustle in the bushes makes him draw his sword, holding Ponia back. A magnificent white magical beast with a single horn emerges, wounded and wary, staring them down. While his companions rest by the flickering campfire, Lo trains alone in the dead of night, his focus absolute. Green prana coils around his arm as he hones his technique, unleashing a devastating slash he calls Middle Lotus into the darkness. The next day, his calm resolve has hardened into a cold purpose as Owl warns him about poachers in the forest. A flicker of interest crosses his face as he asks if defeating a poacher would raise his ranking. She confirms it's possible, depending on their strength. And that's all the motivation Lo needs. With a silent vow to defeat as many as he can, he explodes into motion, blasting off with such speed that Owl is left stunned in his wake. He weaves through the trees like a phantom, but his senses scream a warning just in time to dodge a flurry of arrows. He lands facing a man wreathed in red energy who curses his misfortune, growling that they're in a bad mood. Lo doesn't waste a second on words, meeting the man's blade with his own as green prana erupts around him. The clash is cut short by a familiar voice ordering the man to stop. Lo freezes, the voice triggering a memory, and turns to see Eddie, the swordsman he defeated, and Owl, the archer, perched in the trees above. A moment of stunned silence hangs in the air before they all shout each other's names in disbelief. The scene then flashes back to the day after the exam, where Eddie and Owl had an awkward encounter at the Adventurers Guild. After a tense standoff, they both tried to speak at once. Before Owl finally asked if he'd found any information on the mysterious swordsman who beat them, Eddie admitted he couldn't find anything, only that the man was unranked. Owl, a self-proclaimed prodigy, seethed with indignation, her pride shattered by the loss. Back in the present, their reunion is interrupted by a distant sound. Lo dismisses their questions, stating they can talk later as he explains he was chasing an injured royal horn that was being pursued by what he thought were poachers. When Eddie asks if he intends to protect it, Lo simply confirms it, and demonstrates his superior speed, using the forest's terrain to his advantage. Owl struggles to keep up, but Lo flows through the trees effortlessly. Suddenly, she screams a warning. The royal horn is being attacked by a grotesque magical beast. Vicious purple tentacles lash out, forcing them to scatter. Lo realizes a direct attack is too risky. He might hit the royal horn. He asks Owl to create an opening, and though she hesitates, Eddie barks an order for her to target the monster's eyes. Her arrows fly true, striking the beast and making it screech in agony. Eddie immediately follows up with another command, telling Lo to aim for its legs. Without hesitation, Lo rushes forward, unleashing a powerful duel slash that cripples the monster. As the creature stumbles, Eddie yells for him to grab the royal horn and run. While Lo escapes with the small beast, Eddie slams his palm into the earth, creating a massive chasm that swallows their pursuer whole, before a falling tree finishes the job. In the aftermath, Lo holds the rescued creature, earning a compliment from Eddie on his good instincts. Owl bristles at being treated like a subordinate, but Lo is lost in thought. He stares at the fallen monster, a crucial realization dawning on him: swordsmanship alone isn't enough. To truly climb the ranks, he must learn strategy and teamwork, a lesson perfectly demonstrated by Eddie's leadership. He looks down at the royal horn, his resolve stronger than ever. For Lo, life was a series of simple tasks like drawing water from the village well, a peaceful routine that was about to be shattered forever. A small sound alerts him and he spots his friend Yuna hiding nearby, beckoning him with a mischievous grin. She boasts about escaping again, pulling him along with an infectious energy. Lo hesitates, worried they'll get scolded for leaving the village, but Yuna waves his concerns away, promising to show him a special place just for a moment. Intrigued, he follows her through the woods until they reach a clearing. And his world expands in an instant. Before him lies a breathtaking valley, a vibrant, sprawling landscape that leaves him utterly speechless. This is the outside world, and its immensity is overwhelming. Yuna then reveals a book explaining the rules of this new world, a system called rankings. It's a world of constant competition where adventurers, artisans, and musicians all vie for the top spots, becoming rankers defined by their power and wealth. Yuna's eyes burn with ambition as she declares her dream to become a respected adventurer, to compete against the world's best. She begs Lo to join her on this grand adventure, reminding him of a time he saved her from a giant bird, a moment of forgotten strength she knows is still inside him. She believes he's stronger than anyone when it truly matters and that his potential would flourish outside their small village. For a moment, they see a future of adventuring together. But Lo gently refuses, his heart tied to the home he loves. Yuna's hope turns to frustration as she calls him a stubborn fool and storms off, vowing to go alone. As Lo watches her leave, he sits alone, pondering the concept of rankings under the setting sun. Just as he decides to head back, a terrifying shadow falls over the land. A colossal, jagged island materializes in the sky, a monstrous omen hanging above his home. A blinding beam of pure energy erupts from its core, striking the ground with unimaginable force. The shockwave throws him back, and when the light fades, the island is gone. A cold dread seizes him as he sprints back, his mind screaming the names of everyone he loves. He arrives not at his village, but at the edge of a smoldering, empty crater. Everything is gone. Despair rips through him as he screams into the void, his calls for Yuna and his grandma met with echoing silence. Memories of their kindness, of them welcoming him as family, flash through his mind before the grief crushes him. And he collapses, weeping and asking why. A stranger appears, confirming the unthinkable. Chili village is gone. As Lo grabs the man, demanding answers, Yuna's voice echoes in his memory and something inside him ignites. A torrent of raw green energy, his prana, explodes from his body. In that moment, despair is forged into resolve. He roars that he will find that island and he will get everyone back. Later, during a tense confrontation, Lo's newfound power proves useless against a massive brute named Dalkin. A man named Rosso Cruel sees potential in Lo's unique prana and orders his capture, eager for a profit. But just as Dalkin moves in, they are ambushed by a hidden archer. And under the cover of a smoke bomb, a group of adventurers helps Lo escape. As they flee, Lo is shocked to learn that the monstrously strong Dalkin is ranked a mere 672nd, a staggering revelation of the power that exists in the world. He clutches the strange white pup he now carries, his grip tightening with a mix of fear and determination. The group decides to split up. Lo and a girl named Nana will take the creature to safety, while the others, Luke and Eddie, will continue their mission against Rosso. As Nana and Lo travel with the pup, she suggests they search for its home. The creature immediately leads them on a chase through the forest, a frantic ecological survey as Nana excitedly points out new beasts for a bewildered Lo to sketch. That night by the fire, a different conversation unfolds. Nana approaches Luke, offering to help him with his mission to catch Rosso. She confesses she understands the feeling of holding back a storm of emotion. And in a moment of trust, she reveals her own true goal. She explains that while everyone competes to climb the rankings, she is chasing its dark reflection, a theoretical worst ranking that lists people from the bottom up, the absolute dregs of the world. This, she declares, is the dark side of the world she intends to confront. A memory surfaces, a promise from a kinder time when his friend Miriella suggested school was too small for someone like him. She excitedly told him about an invitation to the super-luxurious cruise ship, the Bond Solutions, and offered him her ticket, explaining with a quiet smile that she couldn't see anything anyway. Luke's heart clenched and he adamantly refused, insisting he would only go if she went with him, promising to hold her hand the entire time. Miriella's mother graciously gave up her ticket, allowing the two inseparable friends to board the magnificent vessel together. A brief moment of hope for the boy who never fit in. But that hope shattered when disaster struck and an announcer began reading the passenger list for the first lifeboat. Luke's name was called, but Miriella's was not, and a cold dread filled him as he realized he was meant to leave alone. Miriella gently let go of his hand, urging him to go on without her. Her voice filled with an unshakable faith that he would become a great appraiser and that he needed to believe in her, too. He watched from the shore as the lifeboat returned to the burning ship, but Miriella never came back. It was too late. As the flames consumed his only friend, Luke overheard two crewmen muttering in relief, talking about how those with the worst ranking were pushed to the back. A cold rage ignited within him and he confronted them, demanding to know what the worst ranking meant, threatening to spread the term like a plague if they didn't explain. Back in the present. Sitting by a campfire, Lo explained the grim reality. The worst ranking is an unofficial list of humanity's lowest-ranked individuals based on social, economic, physical, and mental abilities. It's a cruel system used by the powerful to decide who is disposable in a crisis. Luke's eyes hardened, his voice chillingly calm as he declared his life's mission: to erase this despicable ranking from the world and avenge the system that murdered Miriella. He understood now that Russo, an unregistered criminal, was a link to the shadowy organization behind it all, and he vowed to take down his superior, Dalkin, no matter the cost. Lo, seeing the immense pain Luke carried, called him incredible. A simple word that nearly broke him. Luke begged him to stop, admitting he would cry if he heard another kind word. Turning his grief into defiance, he demanded Lo share his own goals, declaring it wasn't fair for him to cry alone. With their bond solidified, they became official partners, shaking hands on a promise to never regret their path. Their new mission took them deep into a forest, tracking a royal home, which led them not to a cave, but to a colossal, moss-covered rock. Luke instantly recognized it as a dead muse mimic, a rare beast that used other magical creatures as bait to hunt poachers. Its death had unleashed all the creatures it held captive, including the royal horn, and thrown the entire ecosystem into chaos. As Lo comforted the now homeless creature, a monstrous red beast emerged from behind the mimic's corpse. It was the same one they'd seen before, and it began to violently devour the mimic's remains. Enraged, the little royal horn charged, only to be swatted away like an insect. Lo told the creature to stand back, his sword drawn. Recalling a lesson on pranic control, he unleashed a storm of emerald energy, a technique of countless slashes that completely obliterated the monster. After the battles, he knelt and calmly reassured the frightened royal horn that he was not an enemy. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the forest, Dalkin had captured another royal horn and was trying to hack off its horn. While Russo warned him not to damage the merchandise, hidden nearby, Owl and his red-cloaked companion watched in disgust, knowing they were outmatched. But their stealth was useless. Russo's senses flared and he announced it was time to deal with the spies. In a flash, Dalkin was upon them, sneering that he knew they were there all along. A smoke bomb was caught with contemptuous ease, forcing them to flee for their lives. Knowing escape was futile, the two adventurers stopped, ready to make their last stand. The archer declared that his partner was his cover, but the swordsman retorted that team battles were his specialty and they would not follow sloppy orders. Auras of red and blue erupted around them as they prepared to face the impossible together. Dalkin Iris is momentarily stunned as purple prana erupts from his own body, only to find that the mercenaries facing him are glowing with their own auras of red and blue energy. He demands to know how they can use prana, but they correct him, explaining that they weren't able to before, but now they are. A person awakens to prana by mastering a specific field, but they need a trigger. For Owl, a skilled mercenary, and Eddie, a genius archer from a prestigious family, neither had ever known true defeat. Fortunately for them, they recently encountered an irregular prana user named Lo Chili, and that brush with overwhelming power was the very trigger they needed to awaken. With newfound power coursing through him, Owl charges forward, his blade glowing red. Clashing with Dalkin's purple-hued fist, Owl realizes with a jolt that he can now perceive the flow of prana, a whole new layer to combat. From the trees, Eddie takes aim, his own blue aura flaring as he notes this is the first time he can see colors in the prana, allowing him to aim with pinpoint precision. He looses an arrow that homes in on Dalkin, forcing the brute to dodge, only to realize the arrow was aimed at where he would be. Dalkin smashes the projectile out of the air and quickly deciphers their strategy. The swordsman provides constant pressure while the archer predicts his movements from a hidden position. He even spots them using hand signals, identifying Owl as the brains of the operation, but he coolly calls their bluff and declares that he's quitting. He scoffs that this magical beast trading is annoying and that he was just casually dealing with them, claiming the gap in their power is too vast to be closed with mere tactics. Enraged, Owl roars that Dalkin shouldn't underestimate them and lunges forward, Eddie's arrow flying in sync. But Dalkin is done playing games. He effortlessly blocks the knife. His grip speed ranking 48th among all adventurers, and then shatters the blade with his 19th ranked grip strength, blasting Owl into a tree with a brutal punch. With a casual backhand, he swats Eddie from his perch, sending the archer tumbling to the ground. Dalkin looms over the broken form of Owl, noting that his organs are too messed up to be sold, so he might as well just kill him. As he raises his hand for the final blow, a brilliant flash of green energy deflects his attack. Lo Chili has arrived, thanking Owl for the arrow message that led him there without being late. Dalkin glares, recognizing the newcomer. As Lo Chili calmly states there's a simple way to resolve this, he will defeat Dalkin himself. The fight begins anew, but Dalkin's raw power is immense, and he sends Lo Chili flying with a powerful kick. He taunts the boy, yelling that he can't win by just running away. As Lo Chili dodges another blow, he recalls Dalkin's rank of 672nd and thinks to himself that one shouldn't underestimate the adventurer rankings. Dalkin gathers a massive sphere of purple energy, intending to end it, but is shocked when Lo Chili meets his attack with an eruption of his own green prana, revealing a prana-based feint. Dalkin snarls that the brat is copying his technique, but Lo Chili coldly retorts that it's hardly worthy of being called a technique. He doesn't need to fight a stronger opponent head-on, he just needs to think. A memory of Owl's tactical lesson surfaces, reminding him that tactics are built on memorized patterns, not creativity, and Owl had taught him 3 simple ones: an ambush luring the enemy into your territory, and a coordinated strike with a hidden unit. Suddenly, the supposedly unconscious Owl grabs Dalkin's leg, screaming for Lo to attack now. Enraged by the trick, Dalkin smashes Owl into the ground again, but the opening has been created. Lo Chili leaps into the air, but Dalkin is too fast, catching him by the head and slamming him into the dirt. As Dalkin roars in agony from his own wounds, he sees the battered Eddie weakly signal for Lo to go. With that final command, Lo Chili unleashes a storm of green energy, striking Dalkin head-on and engulfing him completely. Lo Chili pants, stating that he only knocked him down for a while. But from the dust, Dalkin rises, his eyes burning with pure hatred as he snarls that he will kill Lo Chili for sure. He lunges, grabbing Lo Chili by the head and lifting him into the air, ignoring the cries of Eddie to let him go. Lo Chili struggles for air, his mind flashing back to his party members, reminding him to consider their pace, and to Dalkin's earlier words calling them both pathetic. As his vision fades and Dalkin promises to strangle him, an image of a smiling girl reaching out to him fills his mind. A desperate scream echoes in his thoughts. He can't die, not in a place like this. A cataclysmic explosion of green light erupts from his body, blasting Dalkin away as he looks on in utter confusion, caught in a vortex of raw, untamed power. Lo struggles to his feet, his body screaming in protest after the brutal fight. Look cries out his name, but his mind is fixed on a single goal. He has to catch Rosso. He grits his teeth, determined that it's not over yet, believing that if he can just question Rosso about the unofficial rankings, he might find the mastermind behind it all. Look rushes to his side, grabbing him and insisting he can't go now. She tells him that in his current state, he'd be easily defeated and they should wait for the next chance. She holds him, assuring him it's okay, that just meeting a ranker willing to speak was enough for the time being. With a soft apology, she watches as Lo finally succumbs to his injuries and collapses. After the battle, time blurs as his comrades recover. While he slept, he drifted into a long dream, a memory of his past. In this vision, his father explained to his mother that the techniques he was teaching their 1-year-old son weren't carved in the mind, but in prana, and that Lo would remember them when he awakened his power. His father then told him a story of their ancestors, people with special powers who were defeated and forced into hiding, creating Chili Village to live their days far from fighting. The dreaming Lo agrees with this peaceful life. But then a question surfaces in his mind. If peace was the goal, why did his father teach him to fight? The realization dawns on him that everyone, his mother, father, grandmother, the whole village, knew that someday the time to fight would inevitably come. His eyes snap open. He wakes to the relieved faces of Look and a man named Mr. Loud, who explains he rushed over after hearing the news. Lo confirms he can move, his body still aching but functional. They regroup with Owl and a captured Dalkin, who sits bound and defeated. Mr. Loud approaches the prisoner, telling him not to resist as he removes his restraints. As he examines Dalkin's wounds, Mr. Loud's expression turns grave. He's never seen a phenomenon like this, realizing there's a power out there capable of striking down even a first-ranked knight. As they journey through the woods, Look suggests Lo register for more rankings to analyze his own strengths, offering to be his guide once they reach the capital. Far away in the shadows, Rosso Cruel contemplates the strange prana fluctuation he felt from Lo, wondering if the boy is trying to make contact with the island of the gods. He enters a hidden sanctum, revealing himself as Adam, the leader of the criminal organization Ouroboros, and announces to his followers that they have found a descendant of Babel, a key to advancing their grand plan to save the world from the tyranny of rankings. Back at the capital, Look asks Lo to become the official guardian for the royal horn Ralph, explaining an adventurer has more freedom than a recognizer. Lo readily agrees, happy to take on the responsibility. Later, in the Recognition Bureau's treatment room, Lo excitedly imagines how high his rank will climb, only to be interrupted by the facility's exclusive doctor, Clara Save, who roars at them to be quiet, scolding Lo for moving with such grievous internal injuries. She unleashes her power and sentient prana bandages erupt from scrolls, instantly mummifying and healing the three adventurers. Over the next 10 days, Look is buried in work, analyzing data and trying to find any record of the Chili tribe or Lo's mysterious technique, but comes up empty. Finally, the day comes and she gathers the trio in the evaluation room, a space overflowing with stacks of paper. Owl is stunned to learn she compiled all this data for their ranking updates by herself. She humbly brushes it off, saying some recognizers could do it in half a day. Before getting to the main event, she begins with Owl Darkies, whose quick wit and leadership in the forest mission earned him a monumental jump from rank 6,301st to 2,067. Next is Eddie Marksman, whose mental fortitude and teaching ability skyrocket him from 6,752nd to 1,873rd. Finally, it's Lo Chili's turn, citing his discovery of new beasts, his swordsmanship that rivaled Dalkin's, and the immense potential of his unknown technique. Look announces his new adventurer ranking, 1089th. She warns him to be prepared, explaining that a ranker's true moment in the spotlight is the update. While his friend's progress was impressive, Lo's leap from the 2000s to the brink of the triple digits is revolutionary. At this very moment, people all over the world are learning his name, and his life as a ranker is about to change in ways both good and bad. Elsewhere, a silver-haired knightess hears a rumor of this incredible rank increase and checks the adventurer rankings. Seeing the name of the man who stole her clan's technique, her face contorts with rage, and a furious aura erupts from her body, shocking everyone nearby as she mutters an apology for unconsciously using too much force. Lo Chili pushes his body to its limits, a blur of green prana as he cycles through the Recognition Bureau's ranking tests. His physical scores are a cascade of mediocrity. Sprinting, jumping, grip strength, and weightlifting all land him in the thousands. His lung capacity is an abysmal 2,511th place. But when the tests shift to sharpening the five senses with prana, the numbers flip dramatically. His hearing and smell skyrocket into the double digits, a shocking display of sensory acuity. Imeldia tells him they've done everything related to physical abilities for now, and onlookers murmur in awe at the adventurer who jumped from 4-digit rankings to near the top in one go. She notes the attention he's gathering, explaining it's something he'll have to get used to if he's aiming for the top. She muses that his high sense-related scores are because he learned to use prana from Eddie, but feels there's something more, an innate aptitude for it. To her, his talent feels wild, like an animal's instinct. She's torn on how to train him, but an older man in a sharp suit interrupts their discussion, addressing her as Imeldia. She immediately panics, forcing Lo to bow his head to the high-ranking branch manager Gran, who dismisses the formalities. Imeldia explains that Gran is a legendary recognizer who has guided countless high-rankers. Gran reveals he has just completed an investigation into why a ranker named Dalkin fell, discovering his own party members were trying to take advantage of him. He states that recognizers put their pride on the line to examine reports, ensuring falsehoods never get through. But Lo cuts him off, stating that while he understands, it isn't Gran's responsibility. He declares that rankers have brains and their own pride, and Dalkin surely followed his own. Gran is left stunned by the young man's conviction. Later, Gran visits the imprisoned Dalkin, questioning why a man with 7th-ranked weightlifting strength didn't simply break the ropes binding him. Dalkin tells him to shut up, but Gran understands. He was remembering a ranker's pride, something that boy Lo Chili just reminded him of so fiercely. Returning to Lo and Imeldia, Gran expresses his gratitude to Lo and gives Imeldia a cryptic warning, telling her she'd better be prepared if she's going to be his exclusive recognizer. Shaken, Imeldia decides to move on to sword-related rankings, but gives Lo one very important request: he must not use Kenserurayo. She explains it's a legendary single-strike transmission swordsmanship that only first-place knights can inherit, the ultimate goal for most rankers. Lo agrees, first tackling the consecutive slash ranking against a self-healing possession stone. His score is decent, but he knows he could do better with soft transformation. He then moves to the cutting precision test, and while others mock the scores, Lo takes his stance and slices through the gap, earning a shocking rank of 87. Meldia beams with pride, knowing her eye for talent is accurate. Just as they're about to register his scores, a flash of movement catches their eye. A silver-haired girl stands before the slashing stone and with a single blinding motion achieves a rank of 29, leaving Lo completely stunned. She turns to him, unfazed by his shock, and asks why he's so surprised, telling him he could do the same. Because she declares he is a Kenserurayo user. The secret is out, and Imeldia freezes in terror. The girl challenges Lo Chili to a match, her condition absolute: if she wins, he will give up his sword. In a private courtyard, she introduces herself as Setsu Orlia, knight ranking 305th, and says she doesn't want others to see him using the technique which she claims he stole. The accusation ignites her fury, and she lunges, declaring he deserves to be cut down for defiling her admiration for the art. Their blades clash, and she instantly lands a blow on him. It's a battle between two Kenserurayo users, a sight Imeldia thought impossible. Lo feels her technique is different from what he knows, rougher, pushed through with pure sword skill rather than soft transformation. After they break apart, Setsu scoffs, stating that she believes in her master Adol and that her flash blade and middle way techniques are superior. She is left speechless when he asks if she can only use two techniques. As Imeldia frantically checks Setsu's stats, her heart sinks. The girl is a complete upgrade from Lo in every way, a battle he can't possibly win with just the sword. Realizing this himself, Lo decides to unveil his other power. A gentle green wind erupts around him, forming ethereal clouds and scattered leaves as he recites a line of poetry. Setsu is shocked that a mere ranker can use such techniques, but her shock turns to rage, vowing to crush him with her overwhelming speed and reclaim the knight's pride for her master. Lo's companions lay out the fastest path to power, taking commissions from other rankings to gain multifaceted experience and bonus points. Understanding the logic, Lo agrees it's time to take on a new challenge. The conversation turns to knight rankings, where trust and dignity are paramount, with the shining example being a man named Adol. But Lo feels a strange disconnect, stating that the Adol they describe is different from the one he knows. His white-haired companion explodes in fury, demanding to know if he wants to die for questioning their hero. Lo calmly refutes her outburst, but his smaller friend passionately defends Adol's reputation, citing his 5th-place rank for reliability and his impeccable conduct. She even recalls a newspaper article from 4 years ago where Adol famously declared that a knight's duty is to protect the people, their peace being the pride of the knight's swords. Lo remains silent, lost in thought, realizing he knows nothing about what Adol has been doing since they parted ways after leaving their village. He can only wonder what has become of his old friend. Far away, a village burns, overrun by monstrous magical beasts. A small child cries out for her parents as a massive worm lunges to devour her. But a flash of steel intercepts the attack. A knight in full armor stands over her, assuring her that she is safe now. His comrades fight desperately against the horde, yelling to hold the line until the commander arrives. But their hope shatters as the very earth trembles and a colossal, three-eyed tyrant worm, a beast ranked 11th in danger, erupts from below. Despair washes over the defenders, they are finished. Just as the beast's maw descends, a calm voice cuts through the chaos, telling everyone there's no need to retreat. A lone figure in resplendent armor raises his sword, a blinding light gathering at its tip. With a single godlike strike called Cutting Edge, he unleashes a beam of energy that bisects the tyrant worm in one clean motion. As the two halves of the monster crash to the ground, the warrior reveals his face. It is Adol, commander of the Mars's Knights. He apologizes for his late arrival and vows that no one else will die, and the crowd of survivors erupts in adoring cheers for their savior. Adol soaks in the praise, a self-satisfied smirk playing on his lips. Later, in the privacy of his office, the hero's facade crumbles. Adol complains about how annoying it all is. Just as his subordinate enters, she dryly thanks him for his hard work, especially his convincing performance for the public. Before chiding him for disappearing for a whole year and leaving her with a mountain of paperwork, he coldly reminds her of their arrangement. He plays the good commander externally but will disappear as he pleases. She stops questioning his absences and instead asks about the deep wound on his chest, noting that rumors are spreading about who could possibly be skilled enough to injure him. Adol smirks, admitting his opponent was indeed skilled and will only grow stronger. Thinking to himself that Lo seems to be doing well, his mind flashes back to their last confrontation, where he mocked Lo's low adventurer rank and limited swordsmanship. But then Lo awakened a terrifying power, a swirling green energy that shocked Adol to his core. He felt an unnatural chill as his own prana was devoured by Lo's technique, forcing him to increase his output just to defend himself. Adol knows Lo hasn't yet adapted to handling that power, and he resolves that he can't let him struggle in the 1000th rank for much longer. Back with Lo's group, a decision has been made. His companion announces they are taking a VIP escort mission on the Continental Railroad, guarding a merchant named Thomas Belkin. The mission briefing warns of assassins from a rival company, marking it as a high-risk job. Meanwhile, in a shadowy chamber, two cloaked figures finalize their own plans. One confirms his intention to go, asking that his departure be kept secret from their leader. He must personally inspect the stage of Lo's technique awakening and perhaps even reveal the truth about the Island of the Lords, believing they could become allies since they share a common enemy. On board the luxurious Dream Zephyr train, Lo is tasked with scouting the exterior. His companion warns him that while his rank is rising quickly, his lack of experience is a critical weakness, especially since this will be his first time fighting assassins. As he walks the corridor, the younger girl explains that the advanced technology of the Erio Republic, like the prana-powered doors, is simply beyond his village-level knowledge. Gazing out at the passing landscape, Lo feels a pang of longing, wishing Yuna could be there to see it with him. He's approached by an official who reveals a startling connection. Their appraisal bureau's investigation into Lo's unnatural ranking found nothing, an anomaly only matched by one other unknown, the Island of the Gods. The man theorizes it's no coincidence and that the advanced prana analysis in the Erio Republic may be the key to understanding Lo's unique nature. Suddenly, Lo's eyes narrow with alarm. His companion notices immediately, quietly telling him to act natural. As the train lurches into motion, a man in a red suit walking past them stumbles and Lo instinctively drops to the floor. It looked like a simple accident, but Lo saw the truth in a flash, a blade extending from the man's shoe, aimed right where his head would have been. The assassin turns, a cruel smile on his face, telling Lo he was lucky this time, but that he won't miss again as he brandishes a pair of daggers. In a brief side story, a young boy named Eddie is left in a forest by his father to survive for a year and master the family's archery skills. Instead, Eddie discovers a passion for mushroom cultivation. 1 year later, he returns home not as a master archer, but as a mushroom expert, presenting his father with a giant basket of steak mushrooms. His father explodes with rage, furious that his son survived with fungi instead of a bow. Lo deflects a pair of daggers with his sheathed sword, the assassin's eyes widening in shock. The man sneers that a scabbard won't even buy him time, his vision suddenly blurring as Lo closes the distance. With a powerful strike, Lo deflects the attack and sends the assassin sprawling to the ground. The assassin quickly recovers, noting with grim satisfaction that Lo keeps aiming for his solar plexus. The fight is over in an instant, the man lying defeated on the floor as Lo walks away. Luke rushes to his side, asking if he's alright, but Lo's attention is elsewhere. He senses two more presences and yells for Sez. Just then, she appears, announcing she's late as two more unconscious assassins lie at her feet. She explains they were attacked as soon as they departed, their enemy's actions more radical than expected. Their client, Mr. Thomas, storms in, declaring that the deal must proceed no matter what. With a grim resolve, Sez decides they will secretly dispose of the attackers and grabs the unconscious men. To Lo's horror, she simply tosses them out the train window. casually explaining that with their level of ability they won't die, and this is the best way to keep them away without the manpower for interrogation. During their strategy meeting, Luke assesses the assassins as experienced but not overwhelmingly strong, around knight rank 300. When Sez asks Lo for his opinion, he admits the fight wasn't easy. This prompts Sez to recall Lo's request to learn the sword saint style, pointing out that he is currently forcing the impossible with his sheer amount of prana rather than actual technique. To correct his misunderstanding of the style, she explains that its true value lies in wielding a sword at speeds invisible to the naked eye. She gives him a chilling demonstration, her form a blur as she moves, leaving him completely stunned. She criticizes his own speed but assures him that if he follows her instruction, he will master even the third technique, Explosive Blade Destruction King. She admits with deep frustration that she herself cannot complete the style as the fourth and fifth techniques are beyond her grasp, and she is leaving the rest to him. Their training begins with a simple rope. Lo immediately tries to brute force the exercise with a surge of prana, finding it incredibly tough. Sez instantly scolds him, warning that this bad habit will prevent him from learning proper technique and that the move he's trying to master consumes immense prana. Lo coolly retorts that he won't run out of gas even if he uses 10 times that amount. Intrigued and skeptical, she challenges him to release all of his prana. Lo agrees, and a tidal wave of brilliant green energy erupts from his body, flooding the training hall with an unbelievable amount of power. The entire train car shakes, startling Mr. Thomas and Luke, who realizes with a shock that Lo's prana has grown even stronger. The massive energy surge is felt throughout the train, startling passengers, and catching the attention of a man in the library car who senses a powerful, yet unrefined, presence. Sez is left speechless, her mind reeling at the sheer volume of Lo's prana, a quantity that makes her question if he's even human. She thinks to her master, Sir Adol, that his apprentice is truly a monster. After the training session, Luke hands Lo a file on their protection target, Thomas Belkin, the 33rd ranked merchant in the world and chairman of the Belkin Trading Company. Sez adds that he's also wary and has a short temper. She then shares her own intel, revealing the assassins belong to Despada, the 49th ranked criminal organization, which is a subsidiary of the much more dangerous 6th ranked Distora. Luke grows pale, worrying that they'll be outmatched if Distora's top brass is on the train. Meanwhile, in the library, the mysterious man, revealed to be Jamin Tepel, assassin rank 108th, receives a coded message and sighs, annoyed that he has to get his own hands dirty. Later, the group dines, though Lo abstains, needing to be ready for poison tasting. Thomas, however, insists on going shopping, much to his bodyguard's dismay. While Thomas browses, Luke offers a hypothesis on Lo's poetic art. It's not simply erasure, but the ability to eliminate anything that poses a direct threat to Lo. He explains that this is why it has such terrible fuel efficiency and renders Lo immobile after a single use, making it an incredibly high-risk power. Just as Sez returns, the lights flicker and die, plunging the entire car into darkness. Thomas panics and screams for his guards, his voice instantly pinpointing his location for the hidden assassins. Sez is struck in the chaos, unable to isolate the enemy's prana from the panicked crowd. Taking charge, Lo tells her to protect Thomas and prepares to make his own light. He unleashes his power, bathing the dark room in a blinding green glow. Much to the confusion of the civilian passengers, his display immediately draws the enemy out as Jamin Tepel appears from the shadows, identifies Lo as the source of the prana, and strikes him down with a devastating blow, shattering the light. The hunt for the monster, he declares, has begun. Separated from Lo, Sez finds herself facing another assassin, his blade painted black to blend into the darkness. She scoffs, realizing the truly skilled opponent went after Lo, a fact that seems to enrage her attacker. He accuses her of underestimating him, but it is he who has made the fatal error. Sez unleashes her power, swinging her blade 3 times to create beautiful but deadly floating crystals of light. The assassin is baffled, seeing no prana fluctuation, and knows he must act before she springs her trap. Sez explains her technique, Heavy Blade Lotus, a method of stacking slashes without a catalyst to create a stagnant slash bomb. Surrounded by the bodies of the fallen assassins, she stands victorious, declaring with absolute certainty that the sword saint style is about invincibility, and she is the one who truly understands its essence. Lo's mind briefly wanders to a strange fantasy as his new instructor pulls out a rope, but she immediately snaps at him to stop imagining weird things. Her name is Irene, and her first lesson for Lo is a demonstration of pure force. With a powerful crack, she whips the rope forward, explaining that if he can replicate it, the lesson is over. Lo takes the rope, gives it a try, and promptly fails as the limp cord whips back and smacks him right in the face. Irene explains that the wind pressure is too strong for a normal throw and introduces him to the concept he must master: instantaneous prana enhancement. She describes how prana can be forced into the limbs to achieve a momentary burst of maximum output, a skill vital for what's to come. Lo focuses, channeling a surge of green energy into his arm the moment he throws. But his timing is completely off. Irene points out that prana originates from the chest and he must calculate the time it takes to reach his fingertips. Frustrated by the difficulty, Lo decides to brute force the problem, unleashing a much larger torrent of prana that envelops his entire body. Irene instantly scolds him, warning that relying on raw power will only form bad habits and prevent him from learning the proper technique. She explains that the skill is already prana-intensive, and even he will run out if he uses 10 times the necessary amount. Lo, with unshakable confidence, looks her dead in the eye and declares that it doesn't matter, he will never run out. Stunned by his claim, Irene challenges him to release all of his prana at once. Lo obliges, and a colossal, overwhelming wave of green energy erupts from him, a raw power that leaves Irene utterly speechless. The surge is so immense that it's felt across the train. Thomas and the young girl Lo is protecting are startled, with the girl realizing in shock that Lo has grown even more powerful. In the market car, patrons feel a monstrous presence. And in the library, a mysterious man notes the massive quantity of prana, but also its lack of refinement, seeing it as an opening to exploit. Back on the platform, Irene stares in awe at the sea of energy, a power beyond her wildest imagination. She realizes that with this prana alone, Lo is already world-class and clutches a necklace, reaffirming her belief that Lord Adol's disciple was truly the real deal. Later, the girl welcomes them back from training, and Irene confirms the first of 3 lessons is complete, warning that the next will be even harsher. Lo casually mentions that he knows Mr. Thomas is asleep, having been sensing his prana even during training. A feat Irene dismisses as basic for a Sword Saint-style user. The girl then hands Lo a report, an analysis of their escort target, Thomas Belkin, the 33rd ranked merchant in the world and chairman of the Belkin Trading Company. His personality is wary and quick-tempered, which explains his initial distrust of their abilities. With that covered, Irene provides her own information, having investigated the assassins from the forest. She notes Lo's impossible call for help in a communication dead zone, which the girl explains was thanks to a special ranking update line. Irene gets to the point. The assassins' coordinated attack proves they were a team. While individuals are hard to trace, a team leaves a trail, and by analyzing their weapons and methods, she identified them. They belong to Dispada, the 49th ranked criminal organization, a subordinate group to the fearsome 6th ranked Distra. She gives a stark warning: they must be careful, because if a high-ranking assassin from Distra's upper echelon is on this train, they are in serious trouble. Meanwhile, in the library car, the man known as Jamin Tipel sits calmly. He muses that Lo's group was intimidated by the prana blast, and while he wanted to retire from getting his hands dirty, he now has no choice. He retrieves a coded message from inside a table. Resolving to handle this himself, a screen reveals his identity: Jamin Tipel, assassin ranking 108th.